welcome to the official week 1 of Peppermint Juju. And this week's topic is ego. I'm Lindsay, the Chat Noir, and I thought that I would go with the academic standpoint of ego. However, I just watched Michelle's video and she covered it very well, so I just wanted to kind of reiterate a couple of different things. Now, Sigmund Freud had a theory that there were 3 different parts of your consciousness, which are the ego, the id, and the superego. And I just want to focus on the id and the ego, because that relates to how I feel that it is being portrayed nowadays. So the id is your primal urges. It is said that babies are very id-ridden when they are born. The id contains the drives present at birth. It's the source of bodily needs, intense desires, impulses, particularly sexual and aggressive ones. It is the beginning of the psyche. So this is the part that everyone says that when you follow your impulses, this is what you're following, according to Freud, even though I believe this theory has been disproven and modified, and also even his own daughter actually went around and changed it around later on. And ego acts according to reality principles. It seeks to please the id's desire in a realistic way. So instead of saying, the id says, I want to go have sex with that woman, or male, or whatever. I want to go have sex with that woman. So your ego comes in then and says, okay, well, how can I make that happen realistically? Well, you may have to do different things. You may have to act a certain way, conform to social norms and whatnot, and then you can carry on with your desires. Really, how I see it nowadays, our people are very, very id-driven. Now, as a primal, I've said that I am into impulses and intuition and whatnot. However, it's more of a balanced id, as opposed to it being called an ego, because of the fact that where I do follow my impulses and whatnot, it's on a realistic level. So I wouldn't consider it completely id, nor would I consider it completely ego. Nowadays, what we consider ego, which would be like, oh, that person's got an ego, that person is egotistical, that's saying something like ego is how one feels about oneself. And it's usually when you say someone's egotistical, it means that they have a higher opinion of themselves than towards other people. And they tend to have a superiority complex and whatnot. And we really do see that a lot in our craft and in the community, because there's this, when you're dealing with power of any kind, you always have those people that believe that they have more power than someone else. And with having more power than someone else, therefore they believe that they are above someone else. And this someone else is not worth their time, not worth their knowledge, however you want to put it. I've seen this in some different people online with how they work their craft, and some people are not worthy of my knowledge. I've seen that. I've seen how egos can tear relationships apart. If you do not think of someone as an equal, then it's really hard to carry on a relationship with them as an equal, because of the fact that you think that you're above them, that they cannot understand what you're saying, that they cannot understand how you're feeling, that you are not equal in any way. Sadly, it happens between religions also. Ego can be seen with someone who has the mindset that my religion is the only religion. My religion cancels out your religion. if that is the case, then obviously it's hard for two people to coexist because of the fact that their religion naturally negates yours. Sadly, it's seen a lot between the Christian mindset and the pagan mindset, because in the Christian Bible, it actually denounces witchcraft in the New Testament. However, if you look into the Old Testament, there were plenty of different instances where it was brought about. It might not have been called witchcraft in that sense, but it was different pagan activities. There were sacrifices, and there were different manifestations of a godly power that weren't of the natural world. And had it been someone else's viewpoint, it might have came off differently. It's really given a bad rap in the Bible. It's shown in Exodus that the Pharaoh's sorcerers, even though they were his priests, showed that they could turn a stick into a snake, just as Moses could. And then to show their superiority, to show the Christian superiority, it is said that Moses' snake eats the snake of the Pharaoh sorcerers. So we see that a lot. And when someone feels that they are right regardless of how anyone else feels, I believe that that is ego above other things. If you have a very strong-minded person, you're going to have someone that is very ego-driven. I'm very, very good at A, B, and C. So if you're not as good as me, then what do you even know about it? That kind of deal. Now, I don't tend to feel like that, but I have to admit there are certain points when I think everybody gets to a point in their life when they see someone and they think, I'm above that person. And I'd like to think, everyone wants to think that they're a good person, that they're above all these different things, but I know from a personal standpoint that ignorance for me is, I guess it would be considered below me. I think it's good to have a certain amount of ego. I think it's good to have pride in your work and self-esteem and everything. However, when you get to a point where you're hurting other people by how you're phrasing things, how you're carrying yourself, I feel like that in itself is just not a good idea. It's not a good thing in general. I do look at other people as equals to start out with. However, I believe that there are differences between us. It doesn't necessarily mean that there are different levels. Do I believe that I am above a murderer or something to that effect? One of my friends once told me that, that's their journey. That's someone's journey. It doesn't excuse what they've done, and yes, they should be punished for it, but that is their journey. Just as not doing that is my journey. Just as teaching you guys is my journey, how am I to judge someone else for theirs? And I believe that with this week being ego, it has been such a difficult thing to tie down, because you don't want to come across as being egotistical, but at the same time you want to show pride in your work. You want to show pride in who you are without somebody coming across and saying, oh, she's being like this, she's being like that. So I guess just to summarize, nowadays I believe that people that are quote-unquote ego-driven, that are very egotistical, are actually more impulse or id-driven, because they feel that they are not responsible for their actions because they live in a world above the regular rules of society. So if they are above them, they don't necessarily have to follow them. It's like having diplomatic immunity in a country that is not your own. And I believe that it should be kept in check. I believe that we should all love one another. And I believe that as a communal species, we should all be responsible for one another. And I hope that one day we can say that what we have said to another human being has aided them in their journey, even if it's just a little bit. And I hope that our egos do not rupture the tiny bubble that is this channel right now. I think that we'll do wonderfully, and just remember that we are all on our own journey, and you can be prideful in yourself. However, just don't put down other people for what they're doing. I guess that's all I got to say for this week. So, let me know if you have any questions below. Don't forget to subscribe to my personal channel. If you have any questions for me, let me know. And love and light. Can't wait to talk to you guys over the weekend. Our hangout's going to be on Sunday. We don't have a time down yet, but we will be posting that, and it will be on the air. So you guys can ask us questions when that's happening. So, love and light. Have a fantastic weekend coming up, and I will talk to you guys soon. Thanks.